All right, Coach, obviously, big homecoming game. It's always a fun, raucous atmosphere here, and very good team coming in Youngstown this weekend.
Yeah, homecoming, as I say every year, but it's true. It's no one does it like Illinois State University. It's the amazing effort that goes behind this, and it starts, right when it ends, and the next day they start for next year. It's just an amazing commitment to it, and I know our alums appreciate that because they have to, because that's awesome. But the football game is a big part of that, and we try to spice everybody's mood up. But we have a very good opponent coming in, and they're a very good team and great history. And anybody's been around Illinois State football for a long time know that. Won 4 national titles, played for another one, and just a really good football program. So expect their very best. They're going to be a handful. They have an excellent quarterback that's really dynamic. It'll be a handful for us on Saturday. So with that, I'll open it up with any questions.
What do you call that formation when they run?
Inverted bone.
They have 2 backs.
Inverted bone.
Yeah.
We call it the inverted bone.
Inverted bone, right?
It's inverted. The halfbacks are up, and the full.
Yeah.
Technically, what would be the fullback is they're not really fullback. The H to the tight end is in there sometimes as well. So you can have 3 backs, or you can put a tight end in there, and most people have a tight end in there.
Right.
Yeah. So
But then most of the time they don't. They have 2 wides, don't they? Or
sometimes they do. Sometimes
Sometimes-
sometimes they have 2 backs.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have 2 wides. And their wide receiver that can really do damage is number 1. He's a really good little player. He's tough too. He's hard. 4's a very good player as well. He's a really good player. But I think they like him as a receiver. But 1 can go in there and be a running back. He's been really impressive on film. He's got really good speed. Not a real big guy. He's from Slippery Rock. He's a transfer from Slippery Rock. I think that's a Division II school in Pennsylvania, correct? But he's really good. So they have some very good ball carriers there.
Mm-hmm. Brock, what do you see out of that quarterback then?
Well, he's very dynamic in that he can really run. He's strong, powerful guy, built well, put together well. Looks like a will linebacker or a safety, and he's fast. So he can run the football first. He knows where to go with the ball. He knows the offense very well. So he's really sharp, and he can throw, and he can throw on the run, and that's where he makes it really makes you nervous, because that's where you can. As Ted can tell you, when you have a scrambling quarterback, it can do that and throw on the run. It's really it can be an issue. So he's going to be a handful in the game. He can throw it. So I like everything about him. I was hoping he was a senior, but he's only a junior, and because I just remember that from last year. He's a sophomore. He's a really good player, and one of the best in our league.
You did have some success against him last year. He didn't explode like he did against other teams in your game last year. Do you expect mimicking a similar sort of strategy, or?
Well, they have a new offensive coordinator there, so he's from the Big Ten, and he's had big time experience. He's a very good coach. There's been some subtle differences in what they do, but not. He's kept some of the things around that they've done that they've been very good at. So I don't know if last year would be as good a barometer. So
Just playing another quarterback like that, like Cole Payton a couple weeks ago, does that help in the preparations for a guy like Redbird?
And then the first guy we saw, they didn't run him as much in that game, but he was very capable. You saw him run and scramble, and he's very good as well. John Mateer was a really good athlete, and I thought the kid down in Murray's a good player. I thought he's going to be good. He can wing it around pretty good, and he's not afraid to pull it down. He's a pretty big kid, about 6'2" or 3", and about 6'3" probably, and 215, 220 pound kid. He's going to be a good player. So There's a lot of that, in our league and the teams we play. And it seems like, that's kind of, our guy isn't a big guy, but he can run. He's quick, and when they develop their arm talent, that makes them just that more dynamic. So it's nice to have a guy that can run, and it seems like we see one every week. But yeah, everybody's got one. It seems like, so yeah, but there's some more coming too. I mean, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about this guy right now. He's good.
Coach, one of your emphasis, or one of the things that stood out to me the most this season, the fact that your offensive line has been absolutely amazing. Only allowing 6 sacks all year. What has been like the point of emphasis that you and the coaching staff have put on the O-line this year to protect Rittenhouse and really open up the running lanes?
Well, we our guys have gotten a little older. Our left tackle's a pretty good athlete. I think I think more than pretty good. I think he's an excellent athlete. Brandon Smith, he transferred here a year ago from Western Michigan, and they had just moved him from defense to offense. So then he transferred. So I don't know if there was a coaching change or what happened there, but he came down here and he was a little green. You could tell he had not played on the offense very long, and we just told the staff, hey, we gotta be patient. He will come around, and he came in my office in the off season. We had a little talk and what he needs to do to become a better player, and he got into it. Now he met with CJ, he met with Harold, of course, and he met with our twin Demings. Deming was one of the Deming boys. The one of the twins was a GA, and he knew he was a tight end, so he understood all the blocking schemes up front. Met with him, and so I told him, I said, you got to come in here and spend one-on-one time with coaches, and he did that, and then spent all summer. Really worked hard on the mental side of it, and then had a really good spring, and he's doing well on the football field. So that's really helped us. I think having I think our guard situation is getting better. Our guy from Coastal Carolina, who's he's a redshirt freshman, and he's a young player, and so he's gotten better, and 68 is getting bigger and better and better. I've had a lot of pro scouts ask me about him. He's just a junior, so he's getting better as well. And then Jack, our center position didn't play great last week. We need a better play from that position, and I think Jack knows that. And Jack was been fighting a little bit of an injury. Well, he sat out a game, and now we got him back, and I think he's fighting through that. I think you'll see a better player each and every next 6-7 weeks. You'll see him get better, I think. And then Pope's been around, and then we've developed some. He's been here a long time, and he's done a good job for an older player, and he showed improvement, which is hard for you think a 7th-year senior wouldn't show much improvement, but he did. He's shown some improvement. But we've had some depth up front, which helps us too, and because in practice we're able to put those younger guys on the field and work with them as well, and it gives your starting 5 a little bit more of a rest, and then especially this time of year you don't want to beat them up, and that's really helped. So our depth, our experience has gotten better, and finding a good center is always part of. We have a really good young center coming. I think he's going to be really good. Kid named Abs. He's already started a game this year. He's going to be really good. He's a true freshman, so not too many true freshmen play much, and he can play. So he's a good player. So just getting better players, and our players becoming older and more experienced, and I think having CJ there a little bit helps Harold. Our tight end coach was our special teams coordinator, but he couldn't be the special teams coordinator, tight end coach, and help with the offensive line. He's more of a tackles guy, but he'll take the whole line when Harold's working with the centers, doing quarterback center exchange. It's just helped our functioning in our teaching of our system, because because Harold and CJ are very good friends. Matter of fact, Harold recruited CJ when he was at Indiana State, and they go back and forth about why he didn't go down to Indiana State. Well, he found out why, but Harold knows. Harold knows the truth. And anyways, those two guys work really well together, so that really helps as well. Takes a little stress off of Harold a little bit because he has a lot of, just finding a center, coaching a center takes a lot. Snapping, gun snapping, under center, and then you have to worry about setting the front, what IDing the front, IDing who we're working to, who the mic is, all that stuff, and there's a lot of coaching with that guy, so having a younger, not less experienced guy, I guess would say, if someone has not experienced our system, he's had to really allow Harold to free up the help with that guy a little bit more, and I think you'll see our center getting better as we go the rest of the year. That's a good question, and I think that all that is the reason why, and they've been in the system for a while.
He came off of an injury, is the reason I thought he had a little bit, he wasn't bad, but he was not himself the center. That was his first game back after being hurt, right?
Yeah, I think he played against NDSU, I think, though.
A little bit.
Yeah, he played against NDSU, but that was his first game back. But remember, he had a game in a bye week, and he didn't do a lot in the bye week, so he still had about 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
And you're right, and to go up against a front like that, and that's a lot. And he played at University of Missouri, so he's played against really good players, but. It's still, this league is good, and the starters in this league are very comparable to a group of five or Power 5 league, or Power 4. So it's, I think I agree with you. I think he's still working. He should be getting better and better and better. Well, he had this injury, and it kind of slowed his progress. So that's the reason I think he struggled a little bit, but I think he looked really good today. It's one of the better days I've seen. This is the best day I've seen of him in a while, and that's really good. And we need that, and he was much better today.
Thought your play on both sides of the football on Saturday on third downs was huge, both on offense and on defense.
Well, not sometimes on defense. We.
Generally speaking, it was pretty good though. If you look at it.
Yeah, it was. It was fourth down that kicked our butt. Yeah, I think we were 0 for 3 on fourth down in that game, or was it 0 for 3 or was it 1 for 3? Yeah, it was
They were 3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. The way the game's being played, if you're in that fringe area before the red zone, well, why don't we punt it? Let's go for 4. You're a 4 down territory. That's what we got involved in there. Yeah, but our third down, it was better than the.
Is that a mindset more than anything else, tactically?
It is, and it really makes me mad actually, because we spend a lot of time on third down. Wednesday's all third down almost. It's not all, but it's a lot. It's really heavily. We spend a whole day on it almost, and in our preparation is third down. And we do some red zone stuff and as well on Wednesday. But third down is a critical situation for both sides of the football. You got to convert on offense, and on defense you got to get off the field. And like I said, but some of these drives, like when they get across the 50, some of them turn into 4 downs. So yeah, you're right. You're exactly right.
You had one game like that where you said you went in as a staff, you decided if you were at such and 40-yard line or whatever it was, we're going for fourth down.
Yeah, that was North Dakota State, and because you in my opinion, to beat those guys, you had to score touchdowns. And then that would tell that depend on the score. What would 3 points do you? We kicked the field goal this past week because that gave you a 2-score or 3-score game.
Right.
So we tried to we just kicked the field goal. That makes more sense, and then instead of going for it. But use your mindset. I tell Tony, you're thinking 4 down when you cross the 50 until I tell you otherwise. And it's kind of how it is. And I think everybody's kind of goes off of that same function. But depends how you're playing on offense, how their defense is playing, how your defense is playing. There's a lot going on. It's scoring the game. everything, how, then that might change your mind.
That's where some of the young guys are screwed up. They don't know the total, like you're saying. They just go on fourth down, which I think when I noticed some of the young coaches are making mistakes going forward.
Well, they got a guy with a big book next to him that they turn the book and it says, well, it says right here to go for it. Yeah, well, he's not watching, the book isn't watching the game right now.
Right.
The computer isn't watching the game. So I take that book and I say, yeah, keep that thing away from me.
Yeah.
I've always called games I can't tell you, Ted, how many times I left my call sheet inside my pants and never pulled it out, ever. And I probably ever pulled my call sheet out. I just called, and because I knew it. I kind of memorized, in what situations I was going to call, but just based on personnel groupings and the flow of the game, you just get a feel how to call a game. And when I got away from that and got more around analytics, I became a lot worse, in my opinion. But
I agree.
yeah, it's just me. But some people just live by that. What does the book say? The book says go for it. How we're going for it. But when you go for two, and that chart is very accurate.
Yeah, I like that chart.
Yeah, we went for two because that's what the chart said to do in that game Saturday. But
Going back to their quarterback and run their offense.
who's they? Youngstown?
Youngstown,
Yeah,
yes, I'm
okay,
sorry,
yeah.
back where we started.
All right.
They ran quite a bit of speed option, I call it.
Right.
Today, are they also running the other options, or is it just that one option? I mean,
They run some speed option. They run dive. The inverted bone. They can run a
Okay,
dive,
that's what I thought.
keep pitch.
Okay,
They have
set.
triple option. Yeah.
Okay.
And they have double option, and so they do both. Yeah, they have some option football. They have a lot of option principles in their
Stuff
repertoire.
on defense, we only see it once a year.
It is,
Easy.
but most people have some form of option.
Right.
In the read scheme. That's
Right.
that's all
Same
ours.
thing,
It's
yeah,
a double
yeah.
option, right? The
Yeah,
read
same thing.
zone read's a double option, and the triple would be throwing the bubble off of it or some creative bringing a jet motion with an arc, and then you pitch off. You can use that as a triple. We even did that at Purdue with some of our quarterbacks. But yeah, there's a lot of creative ways to run the ball, and these guys put the ball in the perimeter a lot of different ways, and it can be a little hairy sometimes.
I can tell, it looked to me like they really like faking the jet and running the quarterback power too. They love that, looks like.
Well, yeah, they'll bring him in motion and ride the and pull it. It's power. It's quarterback power.
Yeah.
And he's reading it.
He's reading it?
Sometimes he's reading it. Yeah,
Okay.
I think he is. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
You know, I'm with you sometimes. I don't know if these guys all read it or not. Some of them do, some of them don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I'm with him, I'd be calling him to run.
Well, they do a
I
lot.
think so, yeah.
So I expect number 12 for them to carry the ball a lot,
Yeah.
and it starts with him, and it's a real pain in the neck for sure.
It's fun if you win.
Yeah.
Coach, Daniel Safwitz is off to another great start this season. What has been something that you have seen this year that he has improved upon compared to years past?
Well, his health is much better. We were able to, Daniel's been really chasing an ankle for the last two prior seasons. He he gets him tweaked or whatever it is. But we did a tightrope procedure that you would do for a high ankle sprain. He had a high ankle sprain too last year, so that, and then we tightened up some ligaments for that as well. So we did the tightrope procedure, and then we tightened up the ligaments, and that's really helped Daniel because he's been able to practice, and last year he practiced very, very little. And I mean, in the year before he was practicing very little. What he's put on field was amazing because he wasn't probably as prepared as he'd like to be, and we would like them to be as well. But he's our best player, and we had to put him out there. And I think it was just time for us to get a handle on this. He made a decision to come back to school here, which we obviously really appreciate. But we needed to fix that ankle and allow him to to spend time on the practice field, and you're seeing him getting better and better and better as the year goes on. So that's because he can stay on the practice field, and that's really important. So that's probably the biggest reason. The biggest thing that I've noticed is that he's out there every day. He's got a really good attitude. It's not that he had a bad attitude, but when a player is, I won't call him injured, but when he's hurting, and it's just, you can see it in his face. He doesn't say a whole lot, not smiling a whole lot. He's just trying to get through practice. This is really painful, and it's just not much fun. And he smiles. I can tell he even comes up and cracks a joke now and then. We talk about fishing, his favorite subject, but he's been a lot different this year, and he's just back to being Dan. He's a really good person. He's a great kid, just real quiet, but he's really he's come up to me a couple times during the game and say, "No, that's that situation we talked about. You talked about that today, and there it is." He would never say anything like that. He's just he just would keep to himself because he's one. Man, this is a pain, literally, and it is. It's hard to play, and hard to be excited when you're not feeling well. And I think that's probably the biggest thing for him. He got that thing fixed, and he stayed here. I think that's helped him because he understands if he were to leave and have that procedure done and then leave the program, well, he's going to have to start over somewhere else with an injury and rehab. They don't know him, and that was part of the pitch. I said, you can't do that. They're not going to. Are you going to be a featured guy? And we know what you can do here, so we're not going to be worried about that. And, we just want you to get healthy, and so that was really, helpful. And he, he's a smart kid. He can figure all that stuff out. But he's had a great year. And his draft stock, I was just reading about his draft. Mel Kiper, that was the name I was thinking about. Yeah, I was reading one of our, someone brought me in and showed me he made Mel Kiper's draft board. I mean, he's talking about him as being a rising receiver on the board, and that was the guy he talked about from FCS, and that wasn't how it started the season, and deservedly so because he deserves it, and he's a really good player. Number one, he's worked hard at it, but number two, he's a good person, and I'm really excited about Dan. He's just got to keep him healthy here from here on out. He's a good player.
Just follow up with that, Coach. You're also having him do other things. I remember the first game against Morehead State, you had him pass the football,
Right.
And then last game against Mercy, he got his first career rushing touchdown. So
That's by accident, just so you know. He was supposed to throw, but it was covered, and he said, "God, I want to throw this so bad," but everybody was covered, and there's no one on him, so he's walked in. So, but that was by accident.
So just to emphasize that, has that been a point of discussion when you and the coaching staff are together, how to utilize Daniel Sackwoods in different situations?
Well, Tony Peterson's very experienced and smart. He coached Dan. His first year here, he was our receiver coach, and then moved back to quarterbacks. But he knows how good an athlete he is, and he's a big Sopkowitz fan, as we all are, and he can do a lot with the ball. I think Eddie does a great job with our punts, and that's why we would probably make a change back there because Eddie's been solid. But Dan could be a really good punt returner and a kickoff returner. He could do both. We just didn't want to. Eddie's really solid. We just want to mess with that. But Dan could be really good at that. That's why I tell NFL scouts that could he catch punts? Yeah, he could. Yeah, he'd be really good at it.
You'd be foolish to put him back there.
Yeah, we don't want him to get killed. Eddie's got a little, riverboat gambler in him. He likes to hold that. He likes to hold that fair catch sign right at the end. He's kind of nifty with it. He's trying to draw a penalty, but Eddie's been really so good that we don't have to worry about it. But I think he can do anything with a ball in his hand. He really can on a football field. Any other questions? All right, that was great. Thank you. Appreciate it.